You feel it, don't you? A sense that you are playing a part in a story you didn't write. From a young age, you were handed a script. You were told what success looks like, what happiness feels like, what a good life is supposed to be. It's a path laid out with signposts for school, career, and family. It feels safe, predictable, and approved by everyone around you. But sometimes, in the quiet moments, you can't shake the feeling that the role you're playing just doesn't fit. School taught you how to get good grades, how to fit in, how to follow instructions. It taught you about the power of governments, the power of economies, and the power of historical figures. But it never taught you about your power. It never taught you about the force that lies dormant within you, the capacity not just to follow the map, but to draw a new one entirely. This is the great unspoken lesson of life, the one that defines whether we are merely actors or the authors of our own existence. This feeling of being a passenger in your own life creates a quiet tension. It's the subtle friction between the person you are and the person the world expects you to be. It can feel like you're wearing clothes that are one size too small. You can move, you can function, but you can never quite breathe deeply. This constant, low-level discomfort is a signal, a whisper from a deeper part of you that knows something is fundamentally misaligned. We are handed a set of threads from the moment we are born. They are the threads of tradition, expectation, and culture. They are all the same color, a safe, respectable gray. And we are led to a giant communal loom where everyone sits side by side, weaving the exact same pattern. This pattern is called the good life. It's a picture of conventional success, material wealth, and social approval. We are told that weaving this pattern is our purpose, our duty, and our only path to belonging. You look at your hands, moving almost automatically, weaving the gray threads into the collective design. You do it well, just as you were taught, but there is no joy in the movement. There is no spark of creation. You look at the vast, gray tapestry taking shape and you feel nothing. It's a technically perfect image, but it has no soul, no life, no color. It is a monument to obedience, not a testament to the human spirit. And you start to wonder if this is all there is. This is the quiet crisis of the modern world. We have more freedom than ever, yet we feel more constrained. We are told we can be anything, yet we often end up becoming copies of each other. This is because we have confused external freedom with internal power. The power to choose from a pre-approved menu of options is not the same as the power to create the menu itself. We are masters of following recipes, but we have forgotten how to cook from the soul. The result is a profound sense of powerlessness, disguised as a normal life. It's the feeling of running on a treadmill. You're putting in the effort, you're sweating, you're moving, but you're not actually going anywhere. You are busy, but not building anything that feels truly yours. You are connected to thousands online, but you feel fundamentally alone. This is the landscape of a life built on external validation, a structure that can collapse the moment the applause stops. We see this illusion of power everywhere. It's the person who climbs the corporate ladder, only to find the view from the top is lonely and empty. It's the influencer who curates a perfect life online, but feels like an imposter behind the screen. They have mastered the game. They have won the prize, but the victory feels hollow because the game itself was designed by someone else, for someone else's purposes. They gained the world but lost the thread of their own being. So the central question emerges, not as a shout, but as a persistent whisper in the soul. How do I take back the threads of my own life? How do I move from being a weaver of someone else's pattern to becoming the artist of my own? This question is not about rebellion for its own sake. It's about a deep, human need for authenticity. It is the starting point of a journey to discover a different kind of power, a power that school, society, and tradition never mentioned. This question is where our story truly begins. It's the first recognition that the life you are living and the life that is waiting within you are two different things. It's the moment you stop looking outward for the map and begin to suspect that the compass you need has been inside you all along. Acknowledging this gap is the first, most courageous step toward a more profound and self-directed existence, a life of genuine, internal power. Faced with this feeling of emptiness, we often fall into a common trap. We don't question the pattern, we just try to weave it faster. We believe that if we just work harder, achieve more, and outperform the person next to us, we will finally feel fulfilled. We chase the promotion, the bigger house, the next milestone on the conventional path, thinking that more of the same will somehow create a different result. This is the flawed solution of frantic effort within a flawed system. This is the trap of optimization. We read self-help books and life hacks that teach us how to be more efficient weavers of the gray tapestry. We learn to wake up earlier, to be more disciplined, to squeeze every last drop of productivity out of our day. But we are optimizing the process, not questioning the purpose. We become incredibly skilled at climbing a ladder that is leaning against the wrong wall. The trap isn't that we are lazy, it's that our incredible effort is pointed in the wrong direction. We look for power in controlling the external world, believing that if we can just arrange all the pieces of our life perfectly, we will find peace. We try to control how others see us, managing our reputation with painstaking care. We try to control our environment, seeking perfect order. But this is a fragile kind of power. It depends on things that are ultimately outside of our control. The opinions of others can change, and chaos is a natural part of life. Think about how this manifests. It's the endless pursuit of external validation. We post a picture and anxiously refresh the page, watching the likes tick up. The momentary rush feels like power, like acceptance, but it's borrowed. It's a loan from the attention of others, and the interest rate is our own authenticity. We start performing for the algorithm, whether it's on social media or in our corporate jobs, and we slowly forget who we were before the performance began. So we compete. We look at the person weaving next to us and see a rival, not a fellow human. We compare the size of our section of the gray tapestry, the speed of our hands, the neatness of our work. Society encourages this. It pits us against each other for scarce resources, the best jobs, the highest grades, the most recognition. This competition keeps us focused on the loom, on the pattern, preventing us from ever looking up and asking if this is the only thing worth creating. This path is exhausting because it is endless. There is always someone with more money, a better title, a more perfect-looking family. The finish line is a mirage that moves further away the faster you run towards it. This pursuit of conventional power is not a journey toward a destination. It's a perpetual state of hunger. It's a game designed so that the only way to keep playing is to always want more, ensuring you are never satisfied with what you have or who you are. The great lie of this trap is that your worth is external to you. It convinces you that your value is not inherent, but is granted to you by your employer, your social circle, or your bank account. You become a reflection of what others think of you. When you get a compliment, you feel worthy. When you get criticized, you feel worthless. Your sense of self is a flickering candle, dependent on the changing winds of outside opinion, rather than a steady flame burning within. Ultimately, this approach to life, this frantic weaving of a pattern you did not choose, leads to a profound burnout. It's a soul-level exhaustion. It's not just about being tired from work, it's about being tired of the work itself. It's the feeling that your life force is being poured into a vessel that has a hole in the bottom. You are giving everything you have, but you are not being filled up in return because the work is not aligned with your core being. This burnout is actually a gift. It is a sign that your inner self is rejecting the script. It's a system shutdown designed to stop you from continuing down a path that is destroying you. It is the moment of crisis where the old way of living becomes so painful, so untenable, that you are finally forced to seek a new one. The pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. This is the breaking point that precedes the breakthrough. You look at the snapped gray threads and the silent, imposing loom. For the first time, you are not a part of the machine. You are separate. And in this separation, a new kind of clarity emerges. You see the absurdity of it all, the frantic weaving, the pointless competition, the soul-crushing uniformity. You realize that winning a game that makes you miserable is not a victory. It's the ultimate defeat. The common trap is revealed not as a path to power, but as a cage. The flawed solution fails because it is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of power. It treats power as a finite resource to be acquired from the outside world. It is a game of addition and subtraction, of winning and losing. But what if true power is not something you take, but something you create? What if it's not about controlling your environment, but about cultivating your inner world. This question marks the end of the old way and the search for a new one. You look down at the tangled mess of snapped gray threads at your feet. For the first time, you see them not as a failed project, but as raw material. You are no longer obligated to the old pattern. You are free, but this freedom is terrifying. It is the freedom of a blank page, the silence of an empty stage. Without the old instructions, what are you supposed to do? Where do you even begin? This is the essential crisis that every creator must face. The great temptation here is to run back to the familiar comfort of the communal loom. It may be soul-crushing, but at least it's predictable. At least you know the rules. The fear of the unknown is a powerful force, and it often drives us back into prisons we have just escaped. Many people reach this point of crisis and then retreat, choosing the familiar misery over the intimidating possibility of true freedom. But a different path is available. This moment of choice is where the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche becomes not an academic subject, but a lifeline. Nietzsche was a philosopher who saw this spiritual crisis coming. He saw a world where people were losing their traditional sources of meaning and were in danger of falling into despair or nihilism. He understood the terror of the blank page, but he also saw its incredible potential. He offered a radical new vision of power. He proposed that the ultimate goal of a human life was not to seek happiness or to fit in, but to become who you are, to give style to one's character. This was, for him, the highest expression of what he called the will to power. Not the will to dominate others, as it is so often misunderstood, but the will to overcome oneself, to grow, to expand, to create, and to stamp your unique essence onto your life. And so you turn away from the path back to the giant loom. You choose the unknown forest. It is here, in the quiet solitude, away from the noise of the crowd, that the real work begins. This is the pivot. It's the conscious decision to stop looking for answers outside of yourself and to begin the more difficult, but infinitely more rewarding, journey inward. You decide to stop being a weaver of a common pattern and to learn to become an artist. This leads us to the central thesis, the revolutionary idea that school never taught you. True power is not the ability to control the world around you, but the strength to become the artist of your own soul, sculpting your own values and character from the raw material of your life. It is the power to take the threads you have been given, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly, and weave them into a tapestry that is uniquely, authentically, and powerfully your own. Nietzsche's philosophy is a call to become this artist, this life weaver. It suggests that your life is not a problem to be solved, but a work of art to be created. And like any great work of art, it requires more than just technical skill. It requires courage, vision, and a willingness to embrace the entire spectrum of human experience. It demands that you see your struggles not as flaws, but as essential colors for your palette. This is a radical shift in perspective. The goal is no longer to create a perfect life, free from pain and difficulty. The goal is to create a meaningful life, one that integrates your suffering and your joy into a cohesive, powerful whole. A perfect, flawless gray tapestry is ultimately fragile and boring. A vibrant, complex tapestry that shows its scars, its repairs, and its bold experiments is a testament to a life fully lived. So how does one begin? The first step is to gather your own threads. This means you must stop judging and rejecting parts of yourself. You must claim your history, your insecurities, your strange passions, your secret pains. These are not weaknesses to be hidden. In the hands of the life weaver, these are the most interesting and unique threads you possess. They are the raw materials that will give your tapestry its texture, its depth, and its character. Think of a time you failed at something. The common response is shame and a desire to forget. The life weaver, however, picks up the thread of that failure. They examine it. It might be a dark, coarse, uncomfortable thread, but it is strong, it is real, and it can be woven into a pattern of resilience, of wisdom learned through experience. Refusing to use this thread would mean leaving a hole in your tapestry, a denial of your own story. This is what Nietzsche meant by amor fati, a love of one's fate. It doesn't mean being passive. It means actively loving everything that happens to you, the good and the bad as necessary components of your life's masterpiece. It's saying yes to your entire existence without reservation. It is the ultimate act of self-acceptance, and it is the foundation upon which all genuine power is built. You cannot create with materials you refuse to touch. Once you have gathered your threads, the next step is to dye them. This is the creation of values. You are no longer accepting the pre-assigned meaning of things. You take the raw thread of, for example, loneliness, and instead of letting it remain a gray thread of sadness, you dye it with your own meaning. Perhaps you dye it the color of solitude, self-reliance, and creativity. You transform the raw data of your experience through the lens of your own chosen values. Society gives you a dictionary of values. Success means money. Happiness means comfort. The life weaver throws this dictionary away and writes their own. They ask themselves, what does courage mean to me in my life? What does success look like for me, even if the world disagrees? This is a terrifying and exhilarating process. It is the declaration of spiritual independence. It is the moment you stop borrowing your light and begin to generate your own. This creation of values is the essence of Nietzsche's will to power. It is the creative impulse to impose your own meaning onto a meaningless world. It's not about forcing others to accept your values. It is the discipline of living by them yourself, consistently and courageously. This is what turns a life from a series of random events into a coherent, directed narrative. Your values become the loom upon which you weave your tapestry. The final step is the act of weaving itself. This is the daily practice of making choices, big and small, that are aligned with your values. Every action you take, every word you speak, is another thread woven into your life's tapestry. Do you choose the comfortable lie or the difficult truth? Do you consume mindless content or engage in challenging creation? Each choice adds a color and a texture to the person you are becoming. This is a slow, patient process. You will not create your masterpiece in a day. Some days you will weave with brilliant, joyful colors. Other days, you will be working with the dark, difficult threads of struggle. Sometimes the pattern will seem confusing and chaotic, but the life weaver trusts the process. They know that even the knots and the tangles, when viewed from a distance, will contribute to the overall beauty and complexity of the final work. This kind of power is anti-fragile. Unlike the power of wealth or status, which is brittle and can be lost, the power of the life weaver grows stronger through hardship. When you face a crisis, it is not a threat to your power. It is an opportunity to find a new, interesting thread and dye it a beautiful color. Failure becomes material. Pain becomes inspiration. Your capacity to create meaning from chaos is a power that no one can ever take away from you. So the secret that school never taught you is this: power is not a position you hold in the world, but a relationship you have with yourself. It is the quiet, daily, courageous act of transforming your own chaos into your own cosmos. It is the shift from asking, "What does the world want from me?" to asking, "What do I want to create with this one precious life I have been given?" This is the turning point. The realization that you don't need to be a billionaire or a president to be powerful. You only need to be the sovereign of your own inner world. You only need to pick up the threads of your own experience and begin the sacred, challenging, and joyful work of weaving a life that is an authentic expression of your own spirit. This is a power available to every single one of us, right here, right now. Let's unpack this further. The first discipline of the life weaver is radical self-acceptance. Look at the threads at your feet. There's the brilliant gold of a great success, but right next to it is the tangled black thread of a deep shame. The common trap is to hide the black thread. The weaver's path is to see that the gold thread would not shine so brightly without the contrast of the black. You must claim it all. It is all your material. Consider your flaws. Perhaps you are too sensitive. Society might call this a weakness, a gray thread to be discarded. But the life weaver asks, how can I dye this thread? Perhaps your sensitivity, when consciously cultivated, becomes the vibrant blue of empathy. Perhaps it becomes the deep indigo of artistic insight. What the world labels a flaw is often your most unique raw material, a signature color that no one else possesses. Now think of suffering. Nietzsche did not shy away from this. He saw it as indispensable for greatness. A life without suffering, he thought, would be a shallow one. For the life weaver, suffering is like a powerful, dark dye. The raw thread of a painful experience can be submerged in it, and what emerges is a color of incredible depth and richness. The color of resilience, of compassion for others who suffer, of profound gratitude for moments of joy. This is the heart of self-overcoming. It's not about defeating an external enemy. It's about overcoming your own internal resistance to using all of your threads. It's overcoming the voice of fear that tells you to play it safe, to stick to the gray pattern. It's overcoming the voice of shame that tells you to hide your ugliest threads. Each time you consciously choose to weave a difficult part of your story into your tapestry, you become stronger, more integrated, and more powerful. This process requires building your own loom, your personal philosophy. This isn't about reading complex books, it's about defining your core principles. For example, you might decide that one beam of your loom is honesty. This means that in every choice you ask yourself, which action is a thread of honesty? Another beam might be growth. So you ask, which choice will weave a pattern of learning and expansion? Your loom gives your daily actions a coherent structure. And what of joy? Joy is not a distraction from the work. It is a vital part of it. The bright, luminous threads of happiness, love, and peace are what give the tapestry its light. The life weaver does not feel guilty for joy. They seek it out, they cultivate it, and they weave it into their work with gratitude. The contrast between these brilliant threads and the darker, more complex ones is what creates a truly breathtaking and complete work of art. This is a departure from the endless pursuit of happiness. The life weaver isn't chasing a fleeting emotion. They are building a state of being. The satisfaction comes not from arriving at a final, happy state, but from the process of creation itself. The joy is in the weaving. It is in the feeling of your own hands, guided by your own values, creating something real and true in the world, one thread at a time. This form of power is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't require an audience or applause. A person who is the artist of their own soul possesses a gravity, a centeredness that people can feel. They are not easily swayed by trends or opinions because they are operating from their own internal compass. They are not trying to be powerful. They simply are powerful in a way that is calm, generative, and deeply authentic. Let's apply this. Think of a challenge you are facing right now. A difficult relationship, a career uncertainty, a personal fear. The old way is to ask, how can I fix this? How can I make it go away? The life weaver's way is to ask, what is the thread this challenge is offering me? Is it the thread of patience, of courage, of letting go? And how can I dye this thread with my own values and weave it into who I am becoming? The power of the life weaver is also the power to say no. To say no to the invitations, the opportunities, and the expectations that do not align with the pattern you are creating. Every no to the wrong thing is a powerful yes to your own art. It is the act of protecting the integrity of your tapestry from threads that do not belong there. This is not selfish. It is the necessary curation that all great art requires. Compare this to the power of the influencer who must constantly perform for an audience. Their power is conditional, granted by the shifting tastes of the crowd. The life weaver's power is unconditional. Their work of art is for an audience of one, themselves. If others appreciate it, that is a wonderful bonus. But the validation comes from the act of creation itself, from the knowledge that they are living in alignment with their deepest self. This is the ultimate freedom. It is the freedom from the need for approval. It is the freedom from the fear of judgment. When you are the artist of your own soul, you are no longer a leaf blown about by the winds of culture. You become the tree itself, rooted in your own values, growing towards your own light. You can withstand the storms of criticism and the droughts of praise because your nourishment comes from within. This journey is not about arriving at a perfect, finished tapestry. The weaving never stops. To be alive is to be weaving. The goal is to fall in love with the process, to find meaning in the daily, conscious placement of each thread. The beauty is not just in the final image, but in the story of its creation, the memory of choosing each color, of untangling each knot, of watching the pattern emerge from your own hands. Nietzsche called the person who could achieve this the Übermensch or Overman. This is not a master race, but a master of the self. It is a symbol for a human being who has overcome the herd mentality, created their own values, embraced their entire fate, and transformed their life into a work of art. It is not a destination to be reached, but a direction to strive in, a North Star for our own personal evolution. So you see, the power that school couldn't teach you was never about controlling others. That is the most primitive and weakest form of power. The true will to power is the will to self-mastery. It is the artist's will to take the formless chaos of life and shape it into something beautiful, meaningful, and true. It is the quiet, internal revolution that changes everything, without having to change the world outside at all. This power is generative, not extractive. The power of a corporate CEO is often extractive. It takes resources, time, and energy from others. The power of the life weaver is generative. It creates meaning, beauty, and resilience where there was none before. It adds something to the world, even if the only person who sees it is you. It is a fundamentally creative, life-affirming force. The world teaches you to build a resume, a list of external accomplishments. Nietzsche teaches you to build a soul, an internal architecture of values and virtues. A resume can become obsolete. A strong soul is timeless. It is the ultimate career, the ultimate project. To craft a character that is resilient, courageous, and authentic is a greater achievement than any job title or award. This is how you find purpose. You don't find it like a lost key. You don't wait for a lightning bolt of inspiration. You create it. You create it by choosing your values, by building your loom, and by the daily, patient, and courageous act of weaving your life's tapestry. Purpose is not a destination. It is the direction you are facing as you weave. It is the conscious intention behind every thread you place. This power allows you to engage with the world in a new way. You are no longer a hungry ghost, seeking validation and approval. You can enter a room and listen, genuinely curious about the threads of others, because you are not there to take anything. You can love more purely, because you do not need the other person to complete you. Your tapestry is your own. You can appreciate another's without needing to merge with it. This is the answer to the feeling of being a passenger. The life weaver is the driver, the artist, and the architect of their own journey. They are no longer defined by the script they were handed. They have become the author. They understand that the events of their life are just the raw material, the plot points. The real art is in the meaning they choose to weave from them. This path requires solitude. Not loneliness, but intentional solitude. You cannot hear the whispers of your own soul over the roar of the crowd. You must create pockets of silence in your life to step away from the communal loom, to examine your threads, to consult your own values, and to plan the next part of your pattern. Solitude is the workshop of the life weaver. It also requires immense courage. To defy convention, to choose your own path, is to risk being misunderstood. The other weavers at the giant loom might call you strange, selfish, or foolish. They will not understand why you abandoned the good life pattern. The courage to withstand this judgment, to trust your own process, is perhaps the strongest thread you will ever weave. Ultimately, the power of the life weaver is the ability to transform pain into wisdom, fear into courage, and chaos into beauty. It is an alchemical process, turning the lead of raw experience into the gold of a meaningful life. This transformative power is the birthright of every human being, a tool lying dormant, waiting for us to have the courage to pick it up. So you are not powerless. You may feel that way when you are tangled in the gray threads of expectation, but that is an illusion. Your power is simply of a different kind. It is not loud but quiet. It is not controlling but creative. It is the indestructible power to decide what your life will mean. This is the wisdom that lies waiting for you. It's not a complex formula, but a simple, profound shift in orientation. Away from the external toward the internal. Away from consumption toward creation. Away from seeking power toward building it within your own soul, one conscious, deliberate, and beautiful thread at a time. Every day presents a choice. As you wake up, you can choose to sit back down at the giant communal loom, weaving the safe gray pattern of conformity. Or you can choose to walk to your own small, personal loom, pick up the unique threads of your actual life, and weave another row into your own singular masterpiece. Don't be afraid of the complexity of your own threads. Don't shy away from the knots, the frays, the dark colors. A life of only smooth, bright threads is a life of denial. The richness of your character, the depth of your soul, is found precisely in how you integrate the difficult parts into a beautiful and coherent whole. This is a lifelong project. There is no graduation, no final certificate. To be a life weaver is a commitment to a way of being. It is a promise to yourself to remain a student of your own life, to stay curious, to keep growing, and to never stop the creative process. The art is in the living itself. Nietzsche's challenge to you is to be the poet of your life. Not just to live it, but to interpret it, to shape it, to give it style and form. To see the narrative arc in your own journey, to find the themes, and to compose the next verse with intention and courage. You are both the poem and the poet. Stop waiting for permission. No one will ever come to you and say, "You are now authorized to create your own values and live an authentic life." You must grant that permission to yourself. The first act of the life weaver is this declaration of self-sovereignty. It is a quiet coronation of the self by the self. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, you add a vibrant thread to your tapestry. Every time you face a fear, you strengthen the weave. Every time you transform a struggle into a lesson, you add depth and color. Your life becomes a testament not to what you acquired, but to who you chose to become. This power is available to everyone, regardless of circumstance. You do not need money, status, or special talents. You only need the raw material of your own life, the courage to face it, and the will to create meaning from it. The janitor can be more powerful than the king if the janitor is the artist of his soul and the king is a slave to his crown. This is the great adventure, not to sail the seas or climb the mountains of the outer world, but to explore the vast, uncharted territory of your own inner world, to map its terrain, to discover its hidden treasures, and to build a kingdom of meaning and purpose within it. This is the journey of a lifetime. Do not be discouraged by the scale of the task. You do not need to have it all figured out. You only need to focus on the next thread. What is the one choice you can make today that is true to the person you want to become? Just weave that one thread. That is all that is ever asked of you. This is the power that builds a life that can withstand the storms. When your sense of self is not based on your job, your relationship, or your possessions, you are free. When those things change or disappear, as they inevitably do, you remain. The weaver remains, even if the tapestry's pattern must change. Your power is in your capacity to keep weaving. And so we arrive at the great synthesis, the profound aha moment. The two paths diverge. One is the path of the crowd, the frantic weaving of a gray, monotonous pattern on a giant, impersonal loom. It is a path of competition, anxiety, and borrowed power. It promises security but delivers a quiet spiritual death. It is the path of the actor reading someone else's lines. The other path is the path of the life weaver. It is a journey into the self to gather the unique threads of your own experience. It is the path of the artist who bravely creates their own values and principles, building their own loom. It is the path of authentic internal power, forged in the fires of self-overcoming and self-creation. It is the path of the author, writing their own story. Look at the tapestry the life weaver has created. It is not perfect in the conventional sense. There are dark colors next to the bright. There are rough textures next to the smooth. There are knots and visible repairs, but it is breathtaking. It is honest. It is strong. It tells the story of a life fully lived, a fate fully embraced, a soul fully expressed. It is a monument to the beauty of a human being who dared to become themselves. All the threads have found their place. The dark thread of failure provides the contrast that makes the gold thread of success shine. The rough thread of suffering creates a texture that invites touch and signifies resilience. The vibrant thread of joy illuminates the entire composition. Nothing was wasted. Everything was necessary. Everything belongs. This is the retrospective beauty of a life lived with intention. And you realize the core truth once more, now with the full force of understanding. True power is not the ability to control the world around you, but the strength to become the artist of your own soul. It is the creative force that turns the raw material of your existence into a testament of who you chose to be. This is the secret hiding in plain sight. The power was never out there to be found. It was not in the corner office, the bank account, or the applause of the crowd. It was always in here. It was in your capacity to choose your response. It was in your willingness to face your own chaos and create your own order. The entire journey was not about acquiring something new, but about awakening a capacity that you have possessed all along. The communal loom now seems like a distant dream, a strange memory of a life that belonged to someone else. The noise of the crowd is faded, replaced by the quiet, confident rhythm of your own creative process. The anxiety of comparison has vanished, replaced by a deep and abiding respect for your own unique path and for the unique path of others. You understand now that the most courageous act in the modern world is not to be loud, but to be authentic. It is to cultivate your own garden, to weave your own tapestry, to compose your own song, in a world that is constantly trying to sell you a prepackaged version of each. This quiet, creative defiance is the essence of true strength. This understanding changes your relationship with time. You are no longer racing against it, trying to achieve more before it runs out. You are collaborating with it. Each day is a new opportunity to add another thread, to deepen the pattern, to enrich the story. Time is not your enemy. It is the canvas upon which you create your art. This is the power Nietzsche pointed to. It is the power to say yes to your life, to all of it. To look at your past, your present, and your future with all its pain and all its joy, and to declare, "This is my life. This is my material, and I will make of it something beautiful and something true." This is the ultimate affirmation of life. The metaphor is complete. The philosophy is clear. But now it must leave the screen and enter your life. The story of the life weaver is not just a story to be watched. It is an invitation to be lived. The journey we have taken together is a map, but you are the one who must take the first step into the terrain of your own soul. Look down at your own hands. In them you hold the invisible threads of your own life. The threads of your past experiences, your current struggles, your secret hopes, and your deepest fears. They are all there. The raw, potent, and unique material of you. For a moment, just feel the reality of them. They are not abstract concepts. They are the very substance of your being. The communal loom of society will call to you. It is loud and persuasive. It will offer you the familiar comfort of the gray pattern. It will promise you acceptance if you just pick up the gray threads and weave what you are told. It will tell you that your own threads are too strange, too dark, too messy to be of any use. You must be prepared to hear this call and to consciously choose your own path. You do not need a grand plan. You do not need to know what the final tapestry will look like. That is not your concern today. Great art is not made by architects who plan everything in advance, but by explorers who discover the path as they make it. The focus is always on the very next step, the very next thread. So I will not leave you with a list of things to do. That would be just another pattern, another set of instructions. To do so would be to betray the very spirit of the life weaver. The journey to authentic power is one that you must design yourself. Instead, I will leave you with a single, transformative question. This question is your personal loom. It is the tool you can use every single day to begin the practice of weaving your own life. It is simple, it is direct, and it is endlessly profound. It cuts through all the noise and connects you directly to your own creative power, to the artist within. Carry this question with you. Ask it in the morning when you wake up. Ask it when you are faced with a choice, big or small. Ask it when you feel lost, confused, or powerless. Let it be the compass that guides you back to your own sovereign, creative center. The question is this: what is the one thread I can weave right now that is an honest and courageous expression of the person I truly wish to become? Not the person my parents, my boss, or society wants me to be, but the person my own soul is calling me to be. Answering this question through your actions is the practice. That is the entire secret. It is the work of a lifetime captured in a single daily choice. The choice to be the weaver, not just the woven. The choice to be the artist, not just the clay. This is the power school never taught you. The power to create yourself. Your life is your magnum opus. It is your great work. Approach it with the reverence, the courage, and the creative joy it deserves. The world does not need another copy. It needs the unique, complex, and beautiful work of art that only you can create. So begin. Pick up that first, singular thread. It might be a thread of honesty in a difficult conversation. It might be the thread of discipline to work on a passion project for 10 minutes. It might be the thread of kindness to yourself after a mistake. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It just has to be yours. Trust that by weaving that one authentic thread, you set in motion a new pattern. Another will follow, and another. And slowly, over time, you will look back and see that you have woven a life that is not only powerful, but is also a true and beautiful reflection of your own spirit. This is the quiet revolution of the soul. It is the path to a power that cannot be taken, a purpose that cannot be lost, and a life that is, in the truest sense of the word, a masterpiece. Your masterpiece. Weave well. The wisdom of the world's greatest thinkers is not meant to be just an object of study. It is meant to be a tool for living. It is a guide to help you unlock the potential that already exists within you. By engaging with these ideas, you are participating in a timeless conversation about what it means to live a truly human life. If this journey resonated with you, continue exploring.